Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Before I get into this video, let me just address the obvious. Yes, it is technically still October, but I'm not in a graveyard today. Trust me guys, I was really tempted to go to a graveyard today, but it is extremely windy outside. And also it's just rained, so the bench would have been really wet. So reluctantly I'm filming this video inside my room, but I'm still using my tripod that I always take with me, and I've got a ring light, so hopefully this looks better. So recently this month, me and Kayla have been buddy reading Clive Barker's short story collection, The Books of Blood. This is a short story collection that is spread over 6 volumes, and it is split up into 2 different books. So this month me and Kayla were only focusing on volumes 1 to 3 of the Books of Blood. Both me and Kayla have read a good amount of material from Clive Barker, and I think going into this we both knew that this was highly regarded as something that his fans hold highly in that community. So I do not know about Kayla, but I was extremely excited about that. I do have several graphic novels that focus on stories that are in his Books of Blood short story collections, so I knew roughly what type of stories to expect. So how I'm going to be doing this video is I am going to just say the title of the story, what I rated it, and a little bit about the story. But before I do that, let's just go straight over to Kayla now, where she'll be telling you her overall thoughts about this book as a whole.
Hey book peeps! So for those of you who don't know, my name is Kayla and I buddy read Books of Blood with David. So I'm just stopping in here real quick to let you guys know what I thought about the overall experience of reading this book. So the edition we had is volumes 1 through 3. Now the first volume, the beginning was genius, okay? The very first story is kind of like an intro of what you're about to get into, and I really loved it. It kind of gave you an idea that it all ties in together to some extent, and I really loved that. But overall, my favorite volume would have to be volume 2, because all those stories were it was just perfect. They were gory, lots of blood, and that is the Clive Barker I know and love the most. Volume 3 though, not the best. It was really a miss with volume 3. However, I believe there's 6 altogether, 6 volumes or something like that, and I will be continuing to buddy read those with David as well, and I'm really excited to see what the other volumes holds.
Thanks for that, Kayla. And if you want to know what my thoughts were for Books of Blood, volumes 1 to 3, don't forget to check out Kayla's video. I will have it linked down below, so it's just one click away. I just briefly want to insert here that this is going to be a spoiler-free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding Books of Blood, volumes 1 to 3. So starting off with volume 1, we have our first story, which is simply called Book of Blood. Now, as Kayla has just mentioned, it's mostly the collection's introduction to all the stories and what connects them all together. So this focuses around some investigators going to this strange building where all these messages have been written on the walls and the ceilings and everywhere in this building. And it's very weird. They do not know why this is happening or what these messages actually mean. And it also finds, I'm not sure whether it's them or some other characters within this story, but some characters find themselves going into another dimension where one of them is attacked by all these creatures around him, and they write on his corpse. All these stories are in this collection. So all these stories are in this book are written on this individual's body. So I thought that this was a really nice and cool idea to like link them all together. And I was telling Kayla that this gives me the impression that it might be the same dimension as the Hellraiser or the Hellbound Heart is setting with Pinhead, but I'm not sure whether it's the same dimension or not. But I thought that this was a solid way to introduce the stories or the book as a whole, so I rated it a 3.5 stars out of 5. Next is a story called The Midnight Meat Train. Now this is about a commuter who is travelling to and from work on the London Underground, and there is this killer that has been murdering all of his victims in graphic ways, and he's been like hanging them up and draining their blood, and no one knows who he is or what he's or why he's doing this. And this commuter interacts and encounters this individual, and we find out why they are doing this and their motivations, and it is really graphic and gory, and it has a kind of a cosmic horror twist to it as well, so I really liked it. I give it a 4.5 stars out of 5. Next was one that I was very familiar with as I read the graphic novel for it, and that was The Jattering and Jack. And this is about a demon who has been assigned to this individual called Jack for the main reason to basically drive him insane and mad, so hell could get his soul when this individual dies. And the Jattering, which is I don't know if it's the name or the species of this demon from hell, he is extremely mischievous, and he really gets fed up about Jack's behaviour. And also, trigger warning here, there is scenes where cats do get killed in graphic ways, so if that may trigger you, be warned about that. But I gave this story a 3 stars out of 5. Next is one called Pig's Blood Blues, and this is about a man who goes to this prison for these young boys, and I'm not sure why he's there, maybe to do an inspection or whatever. And while he's there, he comes across this big massive pig that seems sentient, and it talks. I don't know whether it physically talks or whether it's a kind of a telepathy that the pig has with these individuals. But these boys worship this pig as a god, and they are very fearful of it. And this pig is, if you think about like a demon possessing a pig, it's more or less the same thing. But I thought that this was kind of a middle of the road average story, so I give it a 2.5 stars out of 5. Next is one called Sex, Death and Starshine, and this is about a theatre that is going to be closing its doors. And when I mean a theatre, I don't mean like a cinema complex, I mean like a stage with all these actors doing plays. And as I said, they are about to shut down, and they are focusing on their last performance ever. This was a okay story. If you like the overall atmosphere of the theatre and plays, then you'll like this story a bit more. It was fine for what it was. I give it a 3 stars out of 5. And the last story in volume 1 is called In the Hills, the Cities. And this is about 2 gay guys who are on a road trip, and they come across these 2, I wouldn't say feuding towns, but they are fighting or having this weird competition with each other, where every member of these towns forms this giant body with each other. So they climb on each other, and they all connect with each other. They all connect with each other, and they form this giant figure that moves, walks, can actually look around, and it's a really interesting story. It was a really creative story. I've never seen anything quite like it, or read anything quite like it rather. And yeah, I mean, the characters in it were really good, and I thought it was a really good way to end Volume 1, so I give it a 4 stars out of 5. So going on to Volume 2 now, we have Dread, which is about a couple of guys at a college who are interested in studying the reactions and effects of fear. More specifically in a controlled environment, and they don't intentionally do this because they want to hurt the individual or cause them any distress, but they just want to observe and study fear in other people. So I actually read Dread as a graphic novel, so I was very familiar with the material, but I really enjoyed it. It was a 5 stars out of 5 for me. Really enjoyed Dread. Next one was one called Hell's Event. Now this is about a charity run where everyone's going on this marathon to get money for charity, and Hell wants to take part in this event, and I don't know whether to try to mess it up or get people's souls. I'm not really sure. If you're really interested in marathon running, or if you like running it in general, then you might get something more out of this, but I thought it was an okay story, so I give it a 3 stars out of 5. The next one is called Jacqueline S., Her Will and Testament, and this is about a woman who discovers that she has the ability to control and actually move objects with her mind, kind like Carrie from Stephen King, but more extreme. She uses this power to punish the evil men in her life and any male figures that cause her any distress or any harm or put her in any danger. She rips them apart with literally using her mind. She that can cause them massive distress and basically rip their bodies apart using the powers of her mind. But this was really great. I really enjoyed it, so I give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. Next was one called The Skins of the Father, and this is about a innocent boy who is in I wouldn't say a abusive or dangerous environment at home, but he has a very strict father who I'm pretty sure never hits his son, but he's very emotionally abusive towards his son. And I think it's mostly for him to help his son to man up and all that stuff, I suppose. And he gets kidnapped by all these creatures. And this book leaves me with the impression that the boy kind of questions the fact that who his real father is. And I liked it. I give it a 3 stars out of 5. And the last story in Volume 2 is one called New Murders in the Rue Morgue. And this is set in Paris, and it follows a investigator looking into the graphic murders of women that have been basically found in their rooms and their apartments, and they've been ripped apart. And as he goes along on his investigation, he discovers that there are these sentient animals that have been created in this lab, and that's as far as I want to go with that. But it's a really interesting story. I listened to it on audio, and all the characters had really heavy French accents, so I kind of had trouble at times understanding what they were completely saying, but I enjoyed it. It was a different story. So I gave it a 3 stars out of 5. Now going on to the third and final volume in this collection that me and Kayla went through, and that is Volume 3. The first one is called Son of Celluloid, and I have got a graphic novel of this story as well, so I was extremely familiar with what this story was all about. And it's basically a haunted cinema where all these movie stars like Marilyn Monroe and John Wayne are manifested from this creature that's haunting this cinema for the sole intention of wanting to be observed and looked at and admired and loved by somebody that's actually near them. It craves this so much, and that's all it wants, and it doesn't care who it hurts to actually get this. I really enjoyed this story, both the graphic novel and the story, so I couldn't give it anything else apart from a 5-star rating, so that's why I gave it. Next is a story called Rawhead Rex. Now, I know that there's a movie based on this as well, and there's also a graphic novel that is extremely rare and expensive to get. So if you can find a cheap version of Rawhead Rex, the graphic novel, I would really recommend that you pick it up. But I was kind of familiar about what this story was about. I knew it was about a monster, and that is what it is. It's about a monster who is found in the grounds and has this rock on top of him, kind of like a gravestone or a grave marker. And when this area is disturbed, he rises up and he goes on a killing spree in this town. And everyone that encounters him sees him and treats him like a god. And this creature, even though he's really an animal, he can't actually think, and he knows that people are worshipping him. And there's also a really weird and disturbing scene where a man is lying on the floor, where Rawhead is actually urinating on him, and the guy's kind of like basking in this. He's not distressed. So that was really weird. But I really enjoyed Rawhead Rex. So once again, I couldn't give it anything else but a 5-star rating. Next was one called Confessions of a Pornographer's Shroud. I've got to be honest, guys, I had no idea what this story was about. I had no idea what I was reading. It was extremely boring for me. I was really not interested in this story. It was really boring, I actually remember, and I can't remember a thing about it, so that's good, isn't it? So I give it a 2 stars out of 5. It was my least favourite story in this collection so far. Next is one called Scapegoats. Now, this is about a group of 4 individuals that she sailed to an island, and it's a really small remote island, and they are kind of temporarily stranded there, and they are trying to get off, but they gotta wait for the tide and all that stuff, I suppose. They find that there is these 3 sheep that are on this island, and they've got nothing to eat, and they don't know why they're there. We find out that this island isn't what it appears to be, as there are stuff buried on this island. I won't say what is actually buried on this island, but I thought that this was an interesting story, so I give it a 3 stars out of 5. And the last story in volume 3 is Human Remains, and this is about a male escort who is openly gay, and he has been accused of viciously murdering this pimp's other escorts. And I really enjoyed this story. I don't really like read many stories about gay characters, and it was a really good story. I actually liked the characters and I liked the story. Although when he's being confronted for this event, which he denies, it's really graphic and violent. So it kind of, I wouldn't say upset me, but distressed me, I would say. But I enjoyed it. I give it a 4 stars out of 5. So that's it, guys. That is my review on the Books of Blood, volumes 1-3. As a whole, I'm going to rate it a 3.5 stars out of 5. I wanted to be fair about my rating, as I want to make it crystal clear, guys, that I don't hate this collection or these stories. It was just a mixed bag, and most of the time me and Kayla were extremely confused about what was going on. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment down below, let me know, have you read the Books of Blood? What one of these stories is your favourites, or what ones did you enjoy? And yeah, let's just talk about it. And if you've read anything else by Clive Barker, just comment down below and we can talk about this wonderful author. This collection hasn't put me off of Clive Barker whatsoever. It's just suffers from like all the stories not being the same quality, which is fine. If you have enjoyed this video as a whole, please consider subscribing to my channel, and if you do, please click on that bell which will remind you whenever I upload videos, which are every Monday and Friday. And yes, I know that this isn't one of them days, but me and Kayla agreed to have this video coming out on Halloween, so that's that. Speaking of Kayla, I will have a link down below, so it will take you right to her channel and to her collaboration video, so please check her out, she is awesome. And with all that out of the way, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.